If you're over 35 and training exactly like you did at 25, there's a real chance your body is absorbing more than it's rebuilding. Not because you're doing something wrong, because the equation changed. Most grapplers don't realize they've stepped outside their recovery window until something forces them to step back. And by then, it's not subtle. Have you felt slightly off lately or brushed it aside? That's usually where this all begins. Now, every athlete trains inside a recovery window, and that window is the amount of stress your body can absorb and fully rebuild from. Inside it, you improve, but outside it, you accumulate cost. At 25, the window is wide. By your mid-30s and beyond, it narrows gradually. And not because you're fragile, because you have more life stress now, there's more mileage on your joints, more nervous system load, and there's less margin for disrupted sleep. And the issue isn't aging, it's running a younger load inside an older window. And that's not toughness, it's outdated math. Now, the first sign is a lingering irritation. And the first sign isn't injury, it is irritation. Your elbow isn't damaged, it just never feels fully clear. Your knee, it's not unstable, it just never feels fully fresh. If something lingers longer than 48 to 72 hours repeatedly, that's signal. Soreness clears, but irritation accumulates, and accumulation is what eventually becomes injury. You don't need to panic though, but you do need to notice. And saying, "I'm just getting older," isn't a strategy. That's explanation without adjustment. The second sign, your sleep changes before performance does. Before you feel slower, you sleep differently. You might begin waking up at 3 a.m. You may feel tired, but you're still wired. Your body feels calm, but your nervous system, it doesn't. Hard rolling taxes the nervous system more than the muscles. And if you stack high-intensity days without spacing them, your sleep can fragment. And fragmented sleep shrinks recovery margin even further. Then the caffeine increases. Hydration, it can start to slip, and now load compounds quietly. This is how burnout starts. Not explosively, quietly, and gradually. When was the last time you generally felt fresh walking into class? Not motivated, fresh. There's a difference. The third sign, your grip endurance drops. Strength is resilient. Endurance is sensitive. If your grip fades earlier than usual, if your forearms pump faster, if you're letting go sooner, that's a sign of systemic fatigue, not weakness. Grip endurance is closely tied to nervous system readiness, and when it trends downwards week after week, recovery isn't matching your load. That's measurable and mechanical. The fourth sign, your grappling strategy becomes protective. Now, this one requires honesty. Choosing rounds wisely is maturity. Avoiding stress because you're under-recovered is something different. If you find yourself constantly avoiding pace, pressure, or certain partners, not from strategy, but from depletion, that's information. The difference is intent. Wisdom selects challenges intentionally, but fatigue avoids it reactively. Now, both look similar from the outside. Only you know, though, which one it is, and that's stewardship. And if your warm-up takes longer than the class warm-up, that's not tragedy, that's data. The fifth sign, you feel flat. Flat is different from hurt. Flat means no pop, no sharpness, and your timing's off. You're just half a step behind. You can still roll, but you're not responsive. That's nervous system fatigue. Flatness is often the final warning before injury risk rises. Most people respond to flatness by pushing harder, but pushing harder doesn't always restore readiness. Sometimes it increases debt, and debt compounds. Now, what happens if you ignore all this? When you repeatedly train outside your recovery window, irritation can become injuries. Your sleep degrades, and consistency can break apart. Motivation dips, and your confidence can erode. And here's the dangerous part. You won't blame the load. You'll blame age. You'll think, maybe this is just how it is now. Sometimes it isn't decline. It's mismanagement. Those are very different problems. So what's the plan going forward now? Recalibration doesn't mean less effort. It means better distribution of that effort. It looks like spacing your high-intensity days further apart now, prioritizing sleep like it's training, hydrating intentionally, lifting to increase your tissue tolerance, stretching regularly to maintain your mobility, leaving before depletion instead of after, and choosing rounds and partners with purpose. Now, that's not softness, that's stewardship. And stewardship extends timelines. The grapplers who stay aren't the ones who grind the hardest. They're the ones who observe earliest. They notice small signals. They adjust early. They protect their margins. They train inside their window more often than outside it. And that's what builds decades. If this framework resonates, that's exactly what the book Jiu-Jitsu is the long game explores. Not techniques, not hype, but the structural thinking required to stay. Because staying isn't about training less. It's about miscalculating less. There's a link in the description for the book.